Sasha, the other day we went out for AY and we're distributing tracts. And we're giving to persons on the street. But there were some men in a bar, and I don't feel comfortable going into a bar to distribute to these men. So I never go into the bar because...
What do you mean you don't feel comfortable going into the bar to give them a track?
Because you're going to be seen in there in your church clothes and people know you're a Christian and they're going to see you in a bar and they're going to associate you with these people.
But it's not necessarily associating you with the people. You're meeting them where they are to give them the gospel. And people can just look at you and judge you for that. You know, there's a passage in the Bible that speaks to that. Yes, Peter in the Bible didn't want to associate with some persons. And you know the text that says, I don't eat anything common or unclean?
Yeah.
What do you think it refers to?
Well, I always thought it meant food.
Well, that specifically is not referring to food. It's actually referring to people.
Oh.
Right. When Peter visited Antioch, he won the confidence of many by his prudent conduct toward the Gentile converts. For a time, he acted in accordance with the light given from heaven. He so far overcame his natural prejudice as to sit at table with the Gentile converts. But when certain Jews who were zealous for the ceremonial law came from Jerusalem, Peter injudiciously changed his deportment towards the converts from paganism. A number of the Jews dissembled likewise with him, insomuch that Barnabas also was carried away with their dissimulation. This revelation of weakness on the part of those who had been respected and loved as leaders left a most painful impression on the minds of the Gentile believers. The church was threatened with division, but Paul, who saw the subversing influence of the wrong done to the church through the double part acted by Peter, openly rebuked him for thus disguising his true sentiments. In the presence of the church, Paul inquired of Peter, If thou, being a Jew, livest after the manner of Gentiles, and not as do the Jews, why compellest thou the Gentiles to live as do the Jews? We find that in Galatians 2 verses 13 and 14. Peter saw the error into which he had fallen, and immediately set about repairing the evil that had been wrought so far as was in his power. God, who knows the end from the beginning, permitted Peter to reveal this weakness of character in order that the tried apostle might see that there was nothing in himself whereof he might boast. Even the best of men, if left to themselves, will err in judgment. God also saw that in time to come some would be so deluded as to claim for Peter and his pretended successors the exalted prerogatives that belong to God alone. And this record of the 199, the apostle's weakness, was to remain as a proof of his fallibility and of the fact that he stood in no way above the level of the other apostles. The history of this departure from right principles stands as a solemn warning to men in positions of trust in the cause of God, that they may not fail in integrity, but firmly adhere to the principle. The greater the responsibilities placed upon the human agent, and the larger his opportunities to dictate and control, the more harm he is sure to do if he does not carefully follow the way of the Lord and labor in harmony with the decisions arrived at by the general body of believers in the united council. After all Peter's failures, after his fall and restoration, his long course of service, his intimate acquaintance with Christ, his knowledge of the Saviour's straightforward practice of right principles, after all the instruction he received, all the gifts and knowledge and influence he had gained by preaching and teaching the word, is it not strange that he should dissemble and evade the principles of the gospel through fear of man or in order to gain esteem? Is it not strange that he should waver in his adherence to rights? May God give every man a realization of his helplessness, his inability to steer his own vessel straight and safe into the harbor.
Here are a few points we'd like you to take away. First, learn to make friends with others. Step outside of your comfort zone. That's the first step towards soul winning. Don't be two-faced depending on who you think is watching. Don't be afraid to call out others when they're doing wrong, even if it is someone close to you, and especially if it is someone close to you.
Join us next month as we look at the theme Grace.